See, I have told you. And the women quickly departed from the tomb. See, I have told you. I really like reading two different accounts of the first Easter because it sets the whole story in tension. It puts it in motion. It's a big day, and there's a lot going on. I mean, the women who had followed Jesus from Galilee went to the tomb because they thought Jesus was dead. It's as plain and simple as that. They thought he was dead. They saw him die, and they saw the way he died. They saw the way he died, and they were devastated, if I may be so bold as to fill in what none of the accounts provide. I know what happened on Saturday. We all know what happened on Saturday because we've all been there the day after someone dies. And if you've ever been there the day after someone dies untimely, or tragically, or violently, you know what was happening on that Saturday. One way or another, it was a living hell. The men, oh, the men. Where are the men? My favorite detail, so many details, of Easter morning is the foot race. John outraces Peter to the tomb, which says at least one of two things. Peter was a little older and therefore out of shape. And maybe Peter wasn't feeling too well on Sunday morning while it was still dark. Who here has a hard time with the notion that maybe Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times after cutting off a guy's ear, then weeping bitterly after he heard the cock crow, maybe he drowned his sorrows in a bottle of wine? Huffing and puffing, he makes his way into the tomb, shoving John aside, and he sees what he sees. The face cloth folded and lying up in a place by itself. What happened? What just happened here? Did he bang his head on the tomb when it hit him that Jesus is alive? And they started talking about it, their personal experiences. There was an earthquake, remember? An earthquake? I don't remember that. Oh yeah, an earthquake. There was an earthquake. Well, I just remember it being really dark when the angel was talking to us. An angel? There were 2 angels. No, there was 1 angel. No, there were 2 angels. Well, at any rate, we all came running back because we were afraid and joyful. We weren't just afraid, we were joyful too. Well, at any rate, we all came running back. No, we didn't all come running back, remember? I stayed behind. And that's Mary Magdalene speaking. And now she tells her story. I thought he was the gardener. It was a big day, a day of reversals, a day of undoing, a day of earthquakes and dead people walking around showing themselves to people in the city. No, hey, where are you going? Really, I'm alive. Jesus, or Matthew, tells us about this when he's telling us his account of Jesus' death. Tombs opened up, and that earthquake at the crucifixion. And not the one on Easter morning, the one at the crucifixion. That earthquake opened up the tombs. And when Jesus got up after the earthquake on Easter morning, so did the saints. I wonder, is your faith like mine? There are 2 parts to it. On the one hand, there is absolute faith. On the other hand, there is absolute doubt. As I get older, they have grown apart, and they both blossom. Unbelief has its fruits, and belief has its fruits. Unbelief. This is a fairy tale, isn't it? This isn't rational. This is superstitious nonsense, some sort of mass delusion. People do not rise from the dead. At best, we can see this story as a metaphor for the progress of society. Belief says, are you kidding? They're arguing about the details in such a way that there is no doubt about the eyewitness account. Jesus came back from the dead, and they ran away afraid. This is no metaphor. This is the real deal. People don't run away afraid of a metaphor for societal progress. This means Jesus is alive. This means that his death meant something. This means that his death undid death. Undid my death. Peter went into the tomb before John did. Then he came out. But he wasn't the first one in that tomb, and he wasn't the first one to come out. After Peter, John went in, And he didn't stay in there, he came out. Lazarus was in his own tomb with a stone rolled over it for 4 days, and he came out of his. Yes, you will go into your own tomb, but you will not go into your tomb to die, but to hide. No, hey, really, I'm alive. Where are you going? Do not be afraid. He has risen. Do not be afraid. Go tell my brothers. Do not be afraid. Your life is hidden with Christ. Do not be afraid. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea. There they were, led by God himself to the Red Sea with nowhere to go. They could go into the Red Sea, but that would be utter nonsense. They'd be voluntarily walking into their own drowning death. Death waved to them, lapping at their feet to devour them. Hark! What's that sound behind them? Thundering hooves of horses of war, ready to ride them down, the very forces of death itself, to hack and to slash and to laugh, while doing it to men and women, young and old. To God they cried out, "Why did you bring us out here to die?" He has come between you and death, which is before you. He has come between you and the forces of death arrayed behind you. Why are you afraid? Why are you crying out in fear? Just sit tight and do nothing. The Lord himself will fight for you. He will divide death before you, and you will pass over victorious. He will cause death to swallow up his own forces pursuing behind you, and those who seek escape he will personally throw into the sea. Do not be afraid. But it's frightening, isn't it? All night long the wind blew. All night long the presence of the Lord separated the forces of death from his own people. All night long the wind blew until there was a path in the sea. A path in the sea! Walk into the sea. Walk into the sea? You mean pass right over death? Yes, pass right over death on dry ground. It was on Friday, a Passover, when God did not destroy you because the lamb had been slain in your place. Today, it is a Passover because now you have passed over from death into life. Isn't it fearful, though? Don't you know that they were scrambling over each other to get away from the tomb? Doesn't it make perfect sense as they were walking through the Red Sea with the water piled up around them, held back by the hidden power of God, that they would be frightened? They would be afraid that such a power had come into their experience, and with joy, fear mingled with joy, joy mingled with fear. What just happened here? Well, we went down to see the tomb, and there was this earthquake, and then an angel whose clothes were like lightning, and he was just sitting on the stone like it was nothing. You know what I mean? He was just sitting there on the stone, and he said, "Oh, gosh, I forgot all about the soldiers. The soldiers are lying there like dead men." But the angel said to us, "Don't be afraid." And I don't know why he said that, because I sure wasn't afraid. Were you afraid? No, I wasn't afraid. I don't know why he said he was afraid. And then he told us he knew that we were there to see Jesus, who was crucified. What an odd thing to add, who was crucified. And then he said, he has risen. And we went in like he told us. Did we go in? I can't remember. Well, and then we went in like he told us, I think, and then we ran straight to tell you. But then Jesus met us, and he said hello, like it was nothing, like it was never anything, that he was crucified. He said hello, and we just fell down right there and worshiped him. And then he said, "Do not be afraid." Why does everybody keep thinking we were afraid? But he told us to go tell you to go to Galilee, and we came straight here after that. Can you believe that? Can you believe the witness? "See, I have told you."